This is Eric Pepe for Dead Man Video. Hiya, friends. Now just be honest with yourself. Have you ever wondered why Republicans always win? Well, Uncle Juana is here to tell you. They win because they're smarter than you. I know you don't want to believe this, but it's true. Fortunately, Juana Dick is here to lay the skinny on you. This is a response to a video called Fox News Flips the Script on 10-Year-Old Abortion Case, and it's by Rebel HQ. And I see the Young Turks logo on it. I don't know exactly what the connection is. I unsubscribed from the Young Turks the other day because they said something pretty egregious. And all right, the thing is that Fox News at first was trying to say the rape of the 10-year-old and the abortion, that was a hoax, blah, blah, blah. And now that somebody got arrested for it, not yet arraigned, so stop saying he was arraigned, MSNBC. I know you hate due process, but maybe some of us could still have it, right? Then they came out by saying, oh, he was an illegal immigrant, etc. And this has gotten into the brains of some people who are either Democrats or progressives or leftists or liberals, or it really doesn't matter what they call themselves, they're completely clueless. And so, here's what they said. Now, they played some Fox News stuff, which is fine, to provide background, where people on Fox News are saying very clever things, which got them winning elections, people. And then they put up something, and at the bottom was, rapist in Biden's abortion story concerning a 10-year-old child is an illegal immigrant. Now that's a lot of words for a Fox News viewer to watch. So they eventually came up with another one, which is emblematic. Girl in Biden's abortion story was raped by an illegal. That is such a beautiful piece of wordsmithing. Now, if Frank Luntz didn't get a cool 50 grand for coming up with that, he should sue, definitely, because that is superb cognitive linguistics. But the reaction was interesting. The guy, it was a guy and a gal, he talked about how it was disdain for what is actually factual. Completely wrong. Now, they may have a disdain for what is actually factual, but they know exactly what is actually factual. The other thing is that they know exactly how brains work. You have a disdain for what is actually factual about brains, and that's the problem, and that's why you lose and lose and lose and lose again. So let's go to this statement, and I'll say it again. Girl in Biden's abortion story was raped by an illegal. And we'll subject that to a cognitive linguistics analysis. Now, right now, I want you to get a piece of paper and a ballpoint pen, and make it a good ballpoint pen, because you're going to have to scribble a lot. I really want you to do this. I mean, go get the paper and the ballpoint pen now. I want you to get your arm into it. I want you to get your kinesthetic sense into it. I want to activate those things in your brain. I want to activate those idealized cognitive models. I want you going really well with your arms. Get it now. Do, 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 do. Okay, got it? All right, let's go on. So, on that piece of paper, write down 5 equidistant words or terms. And the terms will be girl, Biden, abortion story, raped, and illegal. Got that? Girl, Biden, abortion story, raped, illegal. Write them down. You've had enough time. Now, draw a line from every word to every other word. Okay? You should get a pentagram inscribed in a pentagon. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lines. Got it? Good. Now, using your pen, and this is where it gets fun, along the line, scribble along the line over and over again, back and forth between the two words. Do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. When you get done, you should have something a little bit like this. Okay, you got the 5 terms. The reason I wanted you to do that is because that is what goes through your head. That's what happens in your brain. The words are, think of them as neurons, or actually clusters of neurons that represent concepts, frames, idealized cognitive models, whatever you want to say. The lines are axons between these things. It just happens that when you think of 2 concepts at the same time, then what will happen is that axons between those concepts will strengthen. They'll even split into 2. And you'll get more and more axons. And if there are neurons in between, they'll be co-opted. They'll use what's called recruitment of them to do it. This is called Hebbian learning. It's a Hebbian process by a guy named Hebb. He figured it out, or published something about it. And it is the fundamental way your brain operates. Now notice there's no language there. There's no predicate calculus or Cartesian enlightenment rationalism there. It's just wiring neurons in your brain together so that one fires, then the other fires, or the other is more likely to fire based on an external stimulus, which is even scarier. So, if you stare at that long enough, which, I mean, if you're sitting on the couch watching Fox News, what else are you going to do? Or you hear it over and over again. If you think girl, you'll think Biden. If you think girl, you'll think abortion story. Biden, abortion story. Rapist, illegal. Rapist, girl. Rapist, Biden. Don't look for any semantic value other than that. That is the primary message that is conveyed to get you to think, well, okay, illegal. Rapist! Or abortion. Biden! Or Biden. Rapist! Or anything. Really. So, let's go back and subject this to a little deeper analysis, because that's not really what everything that happens. Now, here's what Fox knows and what you don't want to think about. They came up with this stupid thing about a hoax. They probably knew it was all complete bullshit at the time, but they all knew it worked. They knew it would work on you, not just the Trump base. It would work on you and everybody else bought it. And so for days and days and days, they were priming your brain, Hebbian learning purely, with this idea that this is all nonsense. This is all a liberal Biden type lie. And that worked bi-directionally. All right, it worked in the same direction that you would think logically. Well, it's a hoax, therefore it's made up, therefore it didn't happen, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, by this time, your average Trump supporter is falling asleep. But what it got them to do was instantly, when they thought of Biden, they thought about raping a 10-year-old girl. Instantly, when they thought of Biden, they thought of hoax. Instantly, when they thought of 10-year-old girl being raped, a hoax. Now, the reason they did it then was because they didn't want you to think far ahead enough to figure out, what happens, what should I think about this? A 10-year-old girl has to cross state lines to get an abortion. Now, maybe I'll make another video of how that works in their heads, but that's probably a little bit too much for your heavy in learning now. So they had primed this, they had set it up. They didn't have to say it anymore. They didn't have to provide evidence. They didn't have to provide arguments. It was already done. These connections existed. Hoax, Biden, abortion, rape, 10-year-old girl, hoax, Biden, abortion, rape, 10-year-old girl, hoax, Biden. They were already established in the minds of people who saw that on Fox News. And that became a part of the physical structure of their brains. It wasn't going to go away. So now this guy comes out and he's gotten caught, and everybody says that he has confessed at this point. Nobody has said how they could possibly know that without believing everything the police say all the time. MSNBC said he was arraigned. This is absolutely impossible. They probably are smart enough to know this. They probably know they're lying. But they probably want you to think that this confession story means a guilty plea, which happens in an arraignment, which happens after you have a chance to see the discovery, which happens after you have a chance to consult with your lawyer, which happens after a grand jury, which the Constitution guarantees, which as of the time of my speaking hasn't happened. But of course MSNBC, well, this is the arraignment, so they expect people, again, with the same Hebbian process to conflate a reported by the police confession with a guilty plea in open court. And it works splendidly. And you're all ready to treat him like you treated Emmett Till, and you're ready to treat him like you treated Leo Frank, and everybody's happy, and it's the American way. So anyway, they've got all this set up, and they get this news, and fortunately for them, it's maybe an illegal immigrant, and really fortunate for them, he's white, or maybe he's Hispanic. But Hispanics are kind of like sometimes white and sometimes not white, depending on what political point you're going to make, huh? And Spaniards are never Hispanic. Figure that out. But there is no logic here. Don't look for logic. This is political persuasion, verbally, using linguistics. There's no logic here. But the left always makes the mistake of thinking that it has anything to do with logic, and then they spend all this time saying, oh, that's not logical. You gotta disdain for what's actually factual. And then you'll guffaw and think you're smarter than them, and then they beat you in the elections because they're paying attention to what really matters. So let's go back to this again. Girl in Biden's abortion story was raped by an illegal. Why was raped by an illegal? If you wanted to go after illegals, you'd put that in the activist voice, in the active voice. Okay, somebody call Freud. Quick! But that's another bit of cognitive linguistics for you, because that's how these things happen. You would say an illegal raped a 10-year-old girl, right? But they don't want to say that. And the reason they don't want to say that is because they just spent days convincing people that it's a hoax. Now their viewers don't remember that's a hoax. They don't think, oh, if it actually happened, it can't be a hoax. But the Hebbian learning has still gotten the idea, the connection stuck in their head. And if they throw at them the idea, an illegal raped, that would cause cognitive dissonance, and it would bounce right off. I predict in a couple of days they're going to actually start doing it. But right now you've got the left saying, oh, this guy raped her. We know this. They don't say, oh, this is the first time we believe the cops in 80 years. Because that would cause cognitive dissonance there. They just automatically leap to the lynch mob, because they know their viewers have already been prepared for it. Their viewers are the ones who are horrified by the notion of forcing a 10-year-old rape victim to travel across state lines to be aborted. I mean, the Republicans think that's great. It's God's will. God is trying to turn evil into good by giving this poor raped girl a wonderful little baby. And this is something that the pro-choicers entirely fail to understand and are actively hostile toward even thinking about. So we've got the passive voice there to de-emphasize the new information and reinforce the old information, because maybe some of their viewers got a little bit drunk and they forgot a little bit, but they got to hammer it at first with girl Biden's abortion story, girl Biden's abortion story, girl Biden's abortion story was raped by what? Something else bad and illegal. And so they connect this absolutely seamlessly. And it really is a brilliant piece of political writing. And I'm not suggesting that the left be as cynical or as Orwellian as the Republicans, but I'm suggesting that they pay attention to how this happens, and they don't want to. And here's how I know. Scores of times, practically every day, I recommend that somebody do a search for a video called George Lakoff Moral Politics over and over again. Now, I was kicked out of the homeless computer room for using YouTube, but as In This Moment said, even in these chains you can't stop me. I'm doing it over and over again. Not a single person, as far as I can tell, has ever watched that video as a result of my recommendation. I've certainly not received any comments. Sometimes I get snark, very rarely get snark. But as far as I can tell, 0 people on YouTube on the left are willing to pay attention to something that might help them win elections at all. They've just decided that they don't want to have anything to do with it. Well, right now I'm just ranting, so I'm going to stop and pack this up and we'll see what happens, which will probably be nothing at all.